Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into a tent stitched not just from hide and bone, but from belief, smoke, and the quiet terror of not knowing what's real. You're about to enter a Mongol shaman's dreaming tent, a sacred living space where spirits walk, ancestors talk, and your thoughts aren't as private as you think. The fire is already lit. The air smells like a storm that hasn't happened yet. You probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me where you're listening from, and what time it is right now. I always love seeing how far these journeys travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You crouch at the threshold of the ger, the traditional Mongolian tent, its round shape half swallowed by the darkness of the steppe night. There's no moon tonight, just the silhouettes of wind-carved hills and stars that hang low and unsettling, like they're eavesdropping. Inside, it's warmer than expected. You step across the felted entry flap and immediately the temperature hits you. A soft, moist heat that smells of horse sweat, charred herbs, and something else. Like rainwater left in a skull. The shaman sits hunched by the fire, face mostly in shadow. You can't see their eyes, but you feel them, locked onto you. Next to them, a helper no older than 12 gestures silently for you to sit, cross-legged, opposite the fire. The floor beneath the rugs is hard-packed earth, and it exhales cold against your ankles. Even through the layers of wool and felt, you're aware of the ground's pulse, like the land itself is listening. The fire crackles, but the sound is off, like it's playing underwater. You glance back at the entrance, now zipped tight with heavy cloth and knotted rope. No leaving without help. You're in now. You expected drums, maybe chants, maybe wild dancing and smoke, but instead there's a long, steady silence that tastes like metal. Your fingers twitch. You didn't bring your phone, though the habit to check it stirs anyway. It wouldn't work here. Not because of signal, because this place feels outside of what phones or time or logic were built to touch. The shaman leans forward. Their face catches the firelight. Weather-etched, lips stained green from chewing herbs, nose bent in 2 places like it. Once met a fist and didn't duck fast enough. Their hat is made of bird claws, goat fur, and what might be braided human hair. You're trying not to guess which parts are still alive. They raise one finger, long, yellow-nailed, and draw a slow spiral in the air. Nothing happens. Then again, everything happens. The flames bend slightly toward you, just for a second. The air thickens, smells shift. You taste dust behind your teeth, and just like that you realize the dream has already started. You just didn't notice the threshold. It's subtle at first. The fire, which once seemed small, now towers taller than your seated form. You're aware that it isn't growing, but your place in the room is shrinking. You blink, and then you blink again, still shrinking, or maybe you're not shrinking at all. Maybe the tent is expanding, there's no way to tell. Behind the shaman, shadows stretch impossibly long. One slithers up the hide wall and coils like a serpent ready to strike. You pretend not to notice. Outside, a wind begins that wasn't there before. Not a howl, not even a breeze. It's more of a murmur, like distant voices reciting poetry in a language that doesn't have words for kindness. The apprentice brings a bowl, carved horn, full of milk as sour as betrayal. It's erag, fermented mare's milk, and Mongols love the stuff. To your untrained tongue, it tastes like battery acid and yogurt had a toxic relationship. You drink it anyway. You were told to. You're polite like that. Historians still argue whether the Mongol shamans preferred erag or if its ritual use was just practical. Hydration plus intoxication in one. Either way, it's in your blood now, and that blood is starting to feel not entirely your own. The shaman whispers something. You lean in, but the words are for the fire, not for you. Then they strike the drum. It doesn't sound like a drum. It sounds like something knocking from inside your chest. Boom, boom, boom. Your heart jumps. Not from fear, at least not entirely, but from recognition. That rhythm, it's too familiar. Like you've heard it in your sleep for years. Like maybe it was your sleep, all along. And then the first real sign. The ger's ceiling, a tight lattice of wooden poles, begins to bend gently inward and outward, like lungs inflating. The tent is breathing. You look to the apprentice for reassurance, but their eyes have rolled white. face serene like a saint, or someone who's already left their body behind. You want to say something, ask if this is normal, but your throat won't cooperate. It's as if your tongue is translating your fear into silence. Your fingers tingle, your vision doubles, then snaps back. The fire shifts colour, first blue, then green, then a strange pearly pink like raw salmon. None of it should be happening, but here it is, just being fire and rewriting the rules. A quirk. Some Mongol shamans were known to coat their teeth in ash or powdered obsidian before ritual, supposedly to bite the spirits. Your host doesn't have black teeth, but you suspect that's only because you can't see them yet. Another boom of the drum. You feel your body slacken slightly. Your breath slows. Not like sleep, but like you're sinking to something deeper than sleep. And somewhere, maybe outside, maybe inside your skull, a single flute begins to play. The tune is off. Not dissonant, just slippery, like it's being played backward by a child who knows what notes shouldn't exist. And just as your head begins to loll forward, you hear a voice say, not out loud, not exactly, "You've already left." You look up. The fire isn't fire anymore, it's a mouth. And it's smiling. The smile in the fire doesn't vanish. It just folds back into flame, like it never happened, or like it's daring you to pretend it didn't. Either way, you're now painfully aware that the normal rules no longer apply. The apprentice, still catatonic beside you, suddenly speaks, not with their own voice, but one you instantly recognise as not from this earth. Too low, too ancient, too measured. The words come in a clipped whisper that feels like it's being etched across your ribs. You are not to speak your name here. The shaman nods, as if this is expected, and you instinctively shut your mouth tighter than a vault door. Names hold power, they say. But in a Mongol dreaming tent, your name might act more like a target. Say it aloud, and some wandering spirit might pin it to your soul like a beetle on a collector's board. This Jia, the dreaming tent, is no ordinary structure. Historically, these tents were not only homes but sacred places where sky and earth met under one round roof. Some shamans use specially marked tents just for dreaming rituals like this, where the spirit world and the waking one braided together for a night. No one entered without permission, and definitely not with shoes, which you're suddenly reminded of when the apprentice, still in that borrowed voice, gestures down. You fumble to untie your boots. They thump to the earth heavy as guilt. Your socks soak in the chill of the ground. It's not wet, but somehow it feels damp, as if the floor remembers storms from centuries ago and keeps their memory in the soil. The silence returns, thick, saturated. You start to breathe through your mouth, but the taste of the air changes too. It's sharper, ash and juniper and the metallic tang of expectation. The shaman begins to circle the tent's interior, stepping lightly despite the heavy robes they wear. You catch glimpses of strange embroidery stitched into the hem, tiny horses, rivers, mountains with eyes. Their boots make no sound, and you don't know how that's possible. They pause behind you. You try not to turn. Then a sudden burst of warm breath against your left ear. They speak 5 words. They're not in any language you know, and yet you understand everyone. You cannot stay yourself here. You turn to look, but they're already gone, across the fire, seated again like they never moved. The fire snaps, sending up a little spire of golden sparks. Some of them hang mid-air too long like confused fireflies before winking out. You glance at your boots. They're gone. No, not gone. Dissolved. Where they were, you now see 2 tiny piles of ash and something darker. Maybe bits of leather, maybe not. You glance down at your socks again, heart lurching slightly. Are those still your feet? A moment of hesitation. You curl your toes just to check. They respond. Good. Sort of. Then the apprentice speaks again. Their voice is back to normal now. High, uncertain, and childlike. They hold out a bundle wrapped in wool. You reach for it, but they shake their head and unwrap it themselves. Inside is the antler crown. Not gold, not bejewelled, not theatrical. This is a halo of twisted deer antlers, crude and sharp, lashed together with sinew and beads made from bone. Some round like knuckle joints, others long and tooth-like. One piece looks suspiciously like a button from a denim jacket. The apprentice sets it beside you and backs away. You look at the crown. It looks back. You don't want to touch it. But you also feel deep down that it already touched you. The crown is one of the oldest symbols among Mongol shamans, particularly in the north, among the Duka reindeer herders. It's not just decoration, it's an antenna, a portal, a silent statement to the spirits. We're open for business. Historians still argue whether the antler crowns were actually worn in ceremonies or only placed symbolically within the tent. Some say only the shaman wore them, others say each participant needed one to cross over properly. Your vote doesn't matter. The crown is being lifted now by invisible hands. It rises into the air, floats for a breath, and then, softly, decisively, settles onto your head. It's heavier than it looks, like carrying a pile of books made of old memories. Your vision contracts. The fire, the tent, even the shaman, all pulled away slightly, like they're now on a stage and you're stuck in the audience. Except you can still feel the dirt, the warmth, the crown's tightness around your skull. You blink once, and everything tilts. Not dramatically, not even enough to make you fall. Just a single, precise shift. Like the world has changed lanes on the highway and didn't signal first. You try to focus, but your thoughts are melting into each other like crayons in the sun. One moment you're remembering the smell of a school cafeteria. The next you're wondering if spirits know what podcasts are. A new sound fills the space. Not the drum, not the flute. It's a low chant, soft but urgent, like bees humming through wool. The shaman's mouth is moving, but you don't hear words. You hear implications. Things like hunger, permission, warning. And that's when you realise you're not sitting in the tent anymore. The floor beneath you is no longer hard-packed earth. It's moss. Your socks are wet. You look up. The fire is still there, but it's surrounded by towering pine trees. The tent is gone. So is the apprentice. So is the shaman. But the antler crown is still on your head. And now, so is the wind. It whispers not in your ear, but into it. And it says, this is not a dream. This is the place where dreaming begins. You reach up, just to check. The antler crown is still there, all sharp angles and quiet weight. It doesn't hurt exactly, but it makes its presence known. Like a cat that settles on your chest and dares you to breathe wrong. You turn slowly, socks squishing in the damp moss. This isn't the step anymore. Or maybe it still is, just peeled back to an older version, a spiritual underlayer normally hidden beneath waking life. The trees are too tall, too silent, their needles catching light that doesn't seem to come from any sun or moon. And then there's the sky, if you can call it that. Above, a dome of bruised purple stretches overhead, spattered with constellations you don't recognise. One of them pulses when you look at it too long. Another rearranges itself into the shape of a horse's skull, and then dissolves. Like it was embarrassed to be caught posing. You're alone. Or, no, not quite. Somewhere out there, past the trees, something is moving. You hear it before you see it. A soft dragging sound, like someone pulling fabric across stone. The moss undulates beneath your feet, breathing with you or against you. Hard to say. The air is thick with pine, mildew, and something metallic. Iron, blood, a hint of horse sweat. You start walking toward the fire, not because it offers safety, just because it's the only thing not actively creeping you out. But as you step, the fire doesn't get closer. You frown. You try again. 1 step, 2, 10. Still the same distance away. The fire doesn't shrink or grow. It just remains. Patient, watchful, smug. You mutter something, not your name, thank the spirits, but a grumble. Your voice sounds weird here. Flattened like it's been put through an old cassette tape. Then, out of nowhere, a presence. Behind you, you spin. Nothing. But the moss is disturbed. A perfect footprint in the shape of a human hand. Fingers long, palm narrow, and unmistakably upside down. The shaman told you nothing before this. Typical. Mongol shamans weren't big on explanations. They let the experience be the teacher. Sometimes that meant awakening. Sometimes it meant never waking again. Because the dream space, or Ongon, or Gaza as it's sometimes called, isn't a safe place for tourists. And you, my friend, are a full-on spiritual tourist. Cargo shorts, metaphorically speaking. You take a breath. Okay, focus. Then, a rustle. Something is moving now. A figure emerges from the woods, hooded, walking slowly but confidently. They're wearing fur boots stitched with teeth, a long robe of dyed felt, and a face hidden by a mask, half deer, half hawk, full nightmare. You don't run, You can't. Your legs feel like they've forgotten what urgency is. They raise a hand and beckon. You obey. Closer now you see the mask's eyes. Black beads with no whites, no lashes, just staring. Then they speak. Their voice is not loud, but it arrives inside your skull without needing your ears. You're seen, you're inside, you're not alone. Comforting, not even a little. But the message is clear. You've entered the dreaming tent's second skin, the part of the ritual where the boundaries melt, the part where the spirits start showing up, and they don't knock. A little history for your trembling brain. Mongol shamans believed the world had 3 layers: the upper, Tengri, sky; the middle, earth; and the lower, dark, cold, spirit-infested. The shaman's job? Travel through all 3 without dying, hopefully. Problem is, that line between travel and trespass is very, very thin. Your guide, this hawk-deer hybrid horror, turns and begins to walk. You follow. Because what else are you going to do? Stay behind with the upside-down handprint? As you walk, the forest changes. At first the trees thin out, then the ground starts to slope gently upward. You can't tell where the incline begins. It's as if gravity has decided to go freelance and invent its own rules. You notice something odd. Your breath, when it escapes, doesn't vanish into the air. It hangs, like smoke, like it's waiting. You speak another word, any word, and your voice joins it, floating beside your head, glowing faintly. Your words aren't leaving you, they're collecting. Oh no. You remember now, something from a podcast you half listened to on the Mongol Empire. A throwaway line. Shamans often believed that spoken words could cling to the soul, sometimes permanently. That wasn't poetic, that was literal. And now your words hover beside you like pale jellyfish, tethered to your spirit. Cool, cool, cool. You shut your mouth again, tight. Then the terrain shifts. No more moss. Now it's sand. Cold, silver sand. You reach down, scoop some up. It shimmers in your hand like fish scales. The grains slip through your fingers and vanish mid-air before they hit the ground. You're officially somewhere no map could show. Historians still argue whether the Mongol shamanic realm was considered real or symbolic, whether shamans actually believed in these layers or just used them to communicate emotional truths. But in this moment, as you walk barefoot on evaporating sand beneath a sky that watches you breathe, you're not interested in scholarly debates, you just want to go home. But the guide turns again, and now you see it. A hill, far ahead, small, round, perfect. And at the top, a pole with something tied to it. From this distance it looks like cloth, but something in your chest tells you it's skin. The guide stops, points. Climb. Alone. You swallow. Your floating words hover beside you like anxious pets. You step forward, and the ground, once firm, now feels like walking on pulses. Each step thuds like your heartbeat echoing outward. The guide stays behind. You climb. The pole gets closer. So does the thing tied to it. You were wrong. It's not skin. It's your shirt. The one you wore yesterday. The one that still smells like your real life. And it's been pierced through the chest with a shard of bone. You turn back to the guide. They're gone. You're alone again. You're never alone here. The hill isn't tall, but it feels monumental. Each step upward feels longer than the last, like time itself is getting stretch marks. The silver sand beneath your feet softens further. Now it's more like ash, warm and whispery, and your toes sink in just enough to make every movement deliberate. You reach the pole. It's smooth, unnaturally so, like it was carved not by hands but by wind. Mongol shamans often used surge poles in their rituals, sacred markers for the spirit world, wrapped with horsehair, cloth, or talismans from the living. Some were decorated with bells or bones. Others were just waiting. This one is waiting. Your shirt flutters slightly in the breeze, though you still can't feel any air moving. It's tied around the pole, pierced by a jagged bone that pulses faintly with a light of its own. Not electric, not natural, just there. You reach for it. The moment your fingers brush the fabric, a sudden wave crashes through your chest. Not water, but sound. A distant horse's neigh, a baby crying, a door creaking open. All at once, inside your ribcage. You stumble back, and the pole groans. It bends toward you, just an inch. but it's enough to make you understand. This pole isn't an object. It's a being. Old, watching, judging. The shirt unties itself, floats gently into your hands. It's cold. It shouldn't be. You wore it yesterday. You slept in it. But now it's been steeped in something ancient. You notice symbols burned into the fabric, letters you don't recognize, yet somehow know were written by a dream version of your own hand. Mongol shamans believed dreams were not subconscious junk mail, but messages, often dictated by spirits or ancestors. Some messages were blessings, some were warnings. This one feels like both. The symbols twitch when you look at them. You try not to look at them. You fold the shirt carefully and place it against your chest. It's heavier than it should be. Your ears begin to ring. You blink. The hill is gone. Now you're standing in a different space altogether, a wide circular clearing. The trees have returned, but they're taller now, leaning inward. Like the tent, only vast. Their bark is grey and patterned with spiral scars, almost like fingerprints. Some glow faintly, some seem to whisper. In the centre of this place is a pit. Not a hole, a pit. A depression in the earth lined with stone, blackened at the edges. It smells like something was burned here, but not wood. Not food, not incense. Something important. You edge closer. Inside the pit you see bones, small ones. Bird maybe? Nope. Teeth. Human teeth. Lots of them. Arranged in a spiral. Neatly, lovingly. You lean back, just in time to hear it. A sound like wind across a flute made of antler. You turn, and there, standing at the edge of the clearing, is a woman. She's tall, taller than humanly possible. Her face is obscured by a thick curtain of hair, long and black, falling past her knees. She wears robes stitched from feather and fur and something that looks suspiciously like snakeskin. Her feet are bare. Her eyes, when she lifts her head just slightly, are blue. Not sky blue, not ocean blue, bruise blue, deep and blooming. She steps forward. The forest does not resist her. Branches move aside. Roots uncoil. She stops a few feet from you and says your name. Your name. You were told not to say it, but she says it. Softly, precisely, and it hurts to hear. Not like a scream, like a whisper that cuts. You want to respond. Your mouth opens, but your words, still floating, still circling your head like nervous planets. You shut your mouth again. Smart. The woman smiles, not kindly, not cruelly, just knowingly. She raises one hand, palm up, and in it, a tooth. Not just any tooth. Your tooth. You recognize it. You lost it when you were 8. Bit into an unpopped kernel of popcorn. You remember the taste of blood and butter. You buried it in the backyard. Apparently she found it. You start to shake your head. No, this is too much. But she steps closer, places the tooth on the edge of the pit, whispers something in a language that bypasses your ears and punches straight into your memories. Suddenly you remember things you shouldn't. Your great-grandmother's hands, the colour of your grandfather's funeral coat, a story your mother told you while brushing your hair, one she swore you'd forget. You didn't. Not anymore. The woman leans forward, and for the first time, you see her mouth. It's stitched shut, with red thread. Yet you heard her speak. You're trying not to panic. You really are. But your hands are trembling now, and your breath's gone tight. She reaches for you. Not your body. Your shadow. Grabs it. Pulls. And suddenly you feel it. Something being tugged from behind your spine. Not painful. Just impossible. Your shadow stretches forward like taffy, bending unnaturally, and coils around her hand like a ribbon. You expect her to steal it, but instead she places it into the pit. The shadow hisses and melts. Gone. You're still upright, still breathing, but now you're slightly lighter, hollow in places you didn't know had weight. She nods once, satisfied. Then she's gone, not vanishing, just not there anymore. You look around. The forest is watching. You're less than you were, but also more. Welcome to the next stage. You stand there for a moment, maybe a minute, maybe a week, blinking at the pit full of teeth and shadow melt and trying not to invent new curse words. You feel hollow. Not like something was stolen, but like something buried was finally dug up and carted away. You're lighter, but not in the freeing way. It's the feeling of forgetting a password you swore you'd never lose, or the way your name sounds after someone else mispronounces it just right. You take a step back, away from the pit. The ground sighs under your foot, like it's tired of supporting you. You whisper a quick thank you to it anyway. You're not taking chances anymore. Mongol shamans respected the land as a living being. Etujanike, the Earth Mother, was no metaphor. She was real, and often moody. They'd never step on a threshold without asking permission, or spit into a fire without apology. You just stepped onto a haunted sandhill and watched your shadow get offered like a sacrificial gift. So yeah, you're playing nice now. Then the shaman reappears, not dramatically, not even from behind a tree. They're just standing there. Again, same robes, same birdclaw hat, same unreadable face. They hold out a handful of herbs. You recognize wormwood, maybe juniper, and something that smells unmistakably like burnt honey. They toss the bundle into the fire. Wait, when did the fire get here again? Too late. It's roaring now. The flames turn white-blue and reach high, licking the sky like a curious animal. You inhale even though every logical nerve in your body screams don't. But the smell is strangely calming. Not pleasant, but familiar. Then the shaman lifts their drum. You brace for the sound. It comes, not as a beat, but as a pull, like gravity being turned sideways. Your thoughts stretch. Your hearing folds inward. You feel your heartbeat shift into rhythm, not just with the drum, but with the world itself. The trees pulse to it. The ground echoes it. Your fingers twitch with each beat like puppet strings got tangled around your nerves. And here's the weird part. You like it. There's something comforting about not being in charge for once, about giving your rhythm to something older and stronger, and maybe just slightly indifferent to your survival. The shaman begins to chant. You don't know the words, but your bones do. You sway without realizing. Your hands open involuntarily. The antler crown tightens on your head, not painfully, just to remind you it's still there, like a teacher tapping your desk with a ruler. The air shifts. Again. You open your eyes, and you're not in the forest anymore. You're in a yurt, but not the yurt. This one's too clean, too new, too symmetrical. Everything gleams like it was waxed by memory. The rugs are pristine. The ceiling lattice is unbroken. No soot on the walls, no smell of milk or sweat or herb smoke. And you're not alone. A dozen people sit in a circle around the fire. Some wear robes. Others wear modern clothes. Jeans, a hoodie. One has earbuds in. Another wears a 1980s windbreaker that somehow feels more out of place than the eagle feather headdress beside it. They all turn to look at you, and every single one has your face. Not just vaguely similar, exactly yours. Different ages, different hair lengths, but definitely you. A chill prickles up your back. You say nothing. Smart. The versions of you don't speak either. They just watch. Silent. Expectant. You step forward. One of them, the oldest, deep lines around their mouth, white streak in their hair, stands. We are what you remember, they say, and what you've tried not to. Oof. Another you, maybe 17 years old, picks up the antler crown from their lap and sets it down in front of them. It's made of plastic. Still, it pulses slightly. What you carry shapes what you become, says Plastic Crown You. You want to laugh. It's kind of ridiculous. Like a high school theatre version of a spirit encounter, but you don't. Because they're all looking at you like they know something you don't. You step into the circle. The yurt dims. Not the fire, the air. The light bleeds out of it slowly like dusk leaking into water. Shapes blur. Edges melt. You blink rapidly and realize you're starting to forget. Not everything. Not your name. Yet. But little things. Your Wi-Fi password. Your middle school best friend's name. The address of your first apartment. Gone. Evaporated. The seated versions of you begin to hum. A low tuneless sound like wind swirling in a bottle. You want to leave. But the crown tightens again. The oldest you speaks once more. Every dream has a toll. You wait. They smile. Now pay. The ground beneath you splits open, not violently, not with drama, just politely. A fissure appears, clean and quiet. You don't fall in, you step in, because that's what the shaman taught you. Step willingly, or be pulled. The moment your foot hits the dark below, the fire vanishes. So do all the other yous. It's just you now. And a sound, a low, steady breath, coming from inside the dark. You are in the next chamber. You are in the next version of yourself. You are inside the fire's eye. The darkness isn't empty. It has texture, depth. It presses against your skin like a wet wool blanket, thick with meaning and memories you haven't earned yet. Your breath echoes, not outward, but inward, like the sound is bouncing off the inside of your skull, then motion, not from you, from beneath you. Something solid materializes, slowly, gently, a back, 4 legs, a shape you recognize, though you've never seen it before. It's a reindeer, but not one from a winter postcard. This one is too tall, too still, and glowing faintly like a constellation had to take a second job. Its fur glimmers like polished silver. Its hooves make no sound as it steps forward. Its antlers are impossibly wide, branched with little charms and bells that don't jingle. They hum softly like lullabies played in reverse. You don't question it. You climb on. The back is warm, like resting against a sunlit stone in autumn, and your hands grip its sides without hesitation. There's no saddle, no reins, no instructions, just trust. The reindeer moves, not walking, not running. It drifts forward, through the dark, hooves leaving no prints. The space around you begins to shimmer, stars blooming in the air like bioluminescent seeds. You pass through a tunnel made of woven smoke and memory. Shapes form and unform, faces, moments, symbols. You see a woman laughing, her mouth full of milk teeth and song. You don't know her. You see a horse made of flame galloping across a frozen sea. You see yourself, as a child, asleep in a pile of laundry, whispering secrets to a stuffed animal you no longer remember owning. The reindeer says nothing, but you know it's guiding you. In Mongol shamanism, reindeer aren't just animals. Especially among the Duka people of northern Mongolia, they're sacred companions, living bridges between the human world and the spirit realm. Some shamans believed their souls travelled on reindeer through the layers of existence, upper, middle, lower, using the animal as both vehicle and shield. Your reindeer snorts gently, as if agreeing with that footnote, and then you're no longer in darkness. You emerge into a place that is hard to name. A tundra, yes, but not one of snow and wind. This one is made of silence. The ground is black stone, cracked with veins of glowing blue light. The air is crisp, still, and charged with the kind of electricity you feel before a thunderstorm, if that electricity had gone to art school and learned subtlety. The sky above swirls with unfamiliar stars, and directly in front of you, a river. It's wide, calm, utterly silent, and running backward. The flow is unmistakable. Ripples move against gravity, water lifts in reverse from surface to cloud, droplets suspend mid-air before rewinding their fall. You dismount. The reindeer does not follow. It bows and vanishes. One blink. It's gone. Of course it is. This is the Skyfather's river. At least that's what your gut tells you. You've heard the name before, maybe in a book, maybe in a bedtime story. Tengri, the eternal blue sky, was the highest deity of the Mongol worldview. Not a man on a cloud, but an ever-present force. The Skyfather ruled not with thunderbolts, but with breath, wind, fate. Rivers like this might carry a soul, a message or a warning, or all three, all. You walk to the edge. The stone underfoot warms with every step. The river doesn't reflect you, it reflects your intentions. Which is awkward, because you're not totally sure what those are anymore. Still, you kneel, you stare into the water, and see things, not images, not scenes, movements, the way your body turned away from a friend's pain once, out of fear, the moment you told a lie and never corrected it, even when the truth got easy. The half-finished promise you made to yourself, then laughed off. The river shows none of this with malice, it doesn't judge. But you do, because you remember now. And then, on the river's opposite bank, something stirs. A shape rises. It's humanoid. Sort of. Tall. Pale. Wearing armour that isn't armour, just bones strapped together by strands of forgotten words. Its face is hidden behind a mask made of birch bark, cracked and curling. It holds a staff. Not threatening. Just present. It watches you. Historians still argue whether such figures were guardians, ancestors, or reflections of the self. Some claim shamans believed in literal spirit forms. Others say these were metaphors for internal reckonings. You don't care. You're looking at it. It's looking at you. It gestures to the river. You understand. Cross. You hesitate. The current, despite moving backward, feels hostile, like it's daring you to try. You step into the shallows. Your feet tingle. The water isn't cold. It's not even wet. It's like stepping into a memory. The surface rises up around your ankles, whispers your worst moments, and carries them away behind you. You take another step. The bank behind you vanishes. Only forward now, only deeper. By the time you reach the middle, the river is up to your chest, pulling gently, insistently, asking you to give in. You don't. Not yet. You lock eyes with the figure on the far side. It hasn't moved. It's waiting. You push forward, one more step, then another. You feel your weight lessening, your thoughts loosening like bubbles slipping free of soda. You reach the bank. The figure extends a hand. You grab it. The mask tilts, just a fraction. It whispers one word, a name, not yours, but one you recognize. And suddenly you remember something else. This isn't your first time here. The name echoes inside you like a gong struck underwater, low, distorted, resonating where no sound should go. It's not your name, no, but it belongs to you somehow. A name you once whispered into a knot of tree roots when you were a child. A name you scribbled in the margins of a journal and then tore out because it felt too honest. The figure says it again, softer this time, like a lullaby wrapped in apology. You can't say it back, not yet. The birch mask figure drops your hand, turns, and walks away. You follow. Of course you do. The river fades behind you without a sound. Where there was water, there is now a field, flat, frostbitten and humming with a subtle static, like a radio tuned between stations. You can't tell what time it is here. The light is grey, even, sourceless. The figure doesn't lead you far, just a few yards, to a circle of standing stones, each stone carved with, well, something. Symbols, images, faces. No, they're too warped. They shift when you blink. One looks like a bear in a bishop's mitre, another like a fox made of smoke. Another is definitely a middle school gym teacher, but only from the nose up. This is a memory ring. You've read about them. Shamanic circles used for grounding, connecting with ancestors, asking guidance from the spirits that remember when you forget. Some were made of stones, others of trees, bones, or even just lines drawn in ash. This one, though, feels older than memory itself. The figure stops in the centre, then vanishes. Again. Classic. You're alone now, surrounded by these presences. You step inside the ring, slowly and instantly feel it. Pressure. Not like a burden, like a tension. Like the air has hands and all of them are pressing gently on your shoulders. You kneel, not because you're told to, because it feels like the only respectful option. As soon as your knees touch the ground, the stones begin to whisper. Not in words, in feelings. Sudden guilt about that time you pretended not to hear someone crying. Random nostalgia for your old red bicycle. Anxiety about a test you failed in high school that you still dream about once a year. Each emotion rolls through you, flares, and then passes. Like waves. Like these stones are running a diagnostic on your spirit. One of them, tall, cracked down the centre, begins to glow. Just faintly. You reach toward it. Your fingers tingle, and then, without warning, you're inside the stone. Not physically, but fully. You're seeing a scene now. It's your life, but filtered through someone else's eyes. You're younger, 12 maybe. In a tent, not unlike the Jia, but this one's real. Tangible, modern, a camping trip. Your parent is laughing, stirring soup on a small propane stove. You're scowling, buried in a book, pretending not to care. The air smells like damp earth and mosquito spray. And you remember this night. The way the stars looked. The way the fire crackled. The way you'd said something harsh, then instantly regretted it, but said nothing to fix it. You're watching it all again. But this time, you feel watched back. The spirit within the stone, it's absorbing your memory, not stealing it. Just holding it, like a teacher reading your rough draft. And then the scene fades. You're back in the circle. The other stones are glowing now. All of them. And they begin to hum, low, in harmony. You rise to your feet. The antler crown hums in response. a faint vibration against your skull, and then, slowly, carefully, the ground beneath you opens. You don't fall. You descend, like being lowered by thought. The stones rise above you, the sky darkens, and you enter a chamber below. It's vast, a cavern of dreams, lined with skins, stitched with symbols, hung with talismans made of claw, tooth, and feather. You're deep within the shaman's world now. The underlayer, the liminal lounge where time doesn't clock in. There's a table at the centre, carved from a single root. On it, objects are placed in a spiral. You don't recognise most of them, but one is your watch, your real one. The digital Casio you wore into the tent, it's still ticking, but backward. Your birth date glows on the screen, then flickers, then scrambles, and just as you reach for it, you hear a voice, not outside, inside, like someone's found the intercom to your inner monologue. You're not a visitor anymore. Your fingers freeze above the watch. You crossed, you climbed, you gave. You don't answer. There's no need. This isn't a conversation. It's a confirmation. You're in it now. The full dreaming space, the real ritual, not the performance for tourists or the mystical TED Talk version. This is the core, and it knows you're here. Historians still debate whether the Mongol dream tent rituals were ever intended for outsiders. Many believe they weren't, that such journeys were sacred, personal, reserved for those born into the bloodlines of spirit workers. If that's true, then what are you doing here? You don't know, but the tent accepts you. The objects on the table begin to glow one by one, each pulse syncing with your heartbeat. You close your eyes and wait for what comes next. The heartbeat rhythm deepens. Thump, 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 until it doesn't feel like a sound anymore. It's a sensation, like a drum pressed against your chest, softly but insistently reminding you that this moment is not just passing through you. It's staying. You open your eyes. The glow from the spiral of objects has stopped. Now there is only one light, and it's coming from behind you. You turn. Standing at the entrance to the chamber is a woman. She isn't glowing. The space around her is. Like the air has agreed to spotlight her, without being asked. She's dressed in a long robe of layered eagle feathers, stitched with tiny glass beads that catch no light but somehow shine anyway. Her hair is plaited with tiny bones, her mouth stained blue, and her eyes are yours, but not quite. They're older, colder, and somehow kinder. She steps forward. You can't move, not because you're afraid, though you are, but because you understand. If you move, she might disappear, and you're not ready for that. She crouches in front of you, eye level now, and says your name, but she says it like it's a memory, not a label, like someone gently dusting off a nameplate that's been forgotten on a museum shelf. You don't correct her, you don't flinch, you just breathe. Then she smiles, and leans closer, and says, "You've always been here." You don't know what she means, but also, you do. She lifts one hand, slow and graceful, and places 2 fingers against your forehead. Not hard, just enough to feel the temperature, and then you see. Not with your eyes, with all of you. Suddenly you're standing in a field of grass so tall it swallows your shoulders. The wind hums with voices, not threatening, not clear, just present. Above you, a sky the colour of milk tea turns slowly, folding in on itself, and from the grass things begin to rise. Figures, not people, not spirits, versions, you again. But not like in the yurt. These aren't physical variations, these are emotional ones. You see the version of you that never apologised, the one that never took the risk, the one that held the anger just a little too long, the one that lied. Big or small doesn't matter. It lingers all the same. They all rise, and they all see you. The woman in feathers stands beside you, expression unreadable. The first spirit is the one you fear most, she says. You look again. One version of you steps closer. It's you as you were 10 years ago. Same face, same voice. But the eyes, they hold all the things you didn't say when you should have. They speak now. No sound, just a feeling that sinks into your bones like cold river water. Why did you bury me? You want to answer. But the words catch in your throat. You buried this version of you because it was inconvenient, because it carried guilt. because pretending it didn't exist was easier than dealing with its weight. But now it's here, unburying itself, and it's waiting. Mongol shamanic belief holds that every person carries many souls, not just one. Some stay with the body, some travel in dreams, some fragment during trauma and need to be recalled. A shaman's job isn't just to speak with the dead or predict the future, it's to reintegrate the soul, stitch together the pieces. Looks like tonight's stitching session involves you. You finally find words, not eloquent ones, just a whisper, "I'm sorry." And with that, the version of you dissolves. Not violently, like steam rising off a cup of tea. Gone. The woman nods and gestures with her chin to the rest of the field. Oh joy, there are more. Each version steps forward in turn. Each asks a question, not out loud, just into your chest. Why did you pretend you didn't care? Why did you stop drawing? Why didn't you call when it mattered? Why did you believe you had to be strong all the time? Each time you answer, or try to. Sometimes with truth, sometimes with silence, sometimes with a shameful shrug, and each time the version forgives you, not because you earned it, but because that's what spirits do. They understand more than you remember. After the last one fades, the grass retracts, the wind stops, and you are alone again. Almost. The woman is still there. But now her feathers have changed colour, brighter, warmer, like autumn leaves catching morning sun. She reaches into a pouch at her side and pulls out something small. She places it in your palm, a blue-lipped seed, tiny, hard, beating faintly. This is the memory that was hidden, she says. Plant it when you wake. You don't know what it means, but you nod anyway. She presses your hand closed around the seed and whispers, "They all heard you." You look up. She's gone. Of course. But the field is not. It's returned to silence. You sit in it for a while, holding that tiny, impossible seed, wondering what it will grow into. You sit with the seed in your palm, unsure whether to feel humbled or slightly terrified. It's warm, pulsing faintly, like it has its own little heartbeat. You think about slipping it into your pocket, but your pocket is gone. So is your shirt. So are your pants. You're not naked, but you're not dressed either. You exist now in that dream state kind of body. Undefined, unbothered, totally inappropriate for a public park, but perfectly acceptable in the spirit realm. You stand. The seed doesn't fall. It settles into your palm as if rooting itself not in your flesh, but in your intent. That's a phrase you never thought you'd say. But here you are. You turn to leave, even though you don't know where you're leaving to, and suddenly the landscape is different again. Gone is the grass, gone is the seed woman. You're now in a forest, but not the same forest as before. This one is made entirely of trees that don't have leaves. Instead, each branch holds a face, carved right into the bark, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Some look familiar, some are strangers, some are you. You can already spot at least 3 different expressions you've worn in the past month alone. Mouth open in anger, eyebrows tilted in embarrassment, that one smirk you use when you think you're funnier than you actually are. And the weirdest part? They're all blinking. Slowly, sleepily, but definitely blinking. You walk between them, trying not to disturb the branches. The trunks are massive, wide enough to contain a memory or 5. Some of the faces mutter softly as you pass, their voices no louder than rustling leaves. One whispers, "I saw what you did." Another sighs, "You could have said more." And another says deadpan, "That hat didn't suit you." You snort despite yourself. Spirits and their fashion critiques. Mongol shamans believed that trees held memory, not just metaphorically but literally. That the great trees, especially the mother trees, could remember people, hold ancestral wisdom, and act as mediators between worlds. Some rituals were performed beneath these trees because the bark was considered to listen. In your case, it's apparently watching too. You pause in front of one trunk. Its face is still, peaceful, eyes closed, a soft smile carved into the grain. It looks content. It looks like you on your best day. The one where nothing big happened, but everything felt okay. A little coffee, a short walk, a moment of quiet where you didn't want to escape your own mind. You rest your hand against the bark, it's warm, it breathes, and then, snap, behind you. You whirl. Something moves between the trees, quick, low to the ground. You catch a glimpse of pale fur, then nothing. Then another snap. Closer. You back away from the tree, your fingers still tingling. The faces in the forest go quiet, their eyes open wider, and then it emerges. A wolf. Or almost. Its body is canine, sure, but it's too big, too graceful. Its fur is white as bone, with streaks of blue and black that shimmer like oil on water. Its paws make no sound. But it's the eyes that freeze you. They are human, not human-shaped. Human, and not just anyone's. Yours. The wolf's eyes match yours exactly. Same colour, same tilt, same tired undercurrent like you've lived too many Tuesdays in a row. It stares at you for a long, long moment. Then it speaks. Not out loud, but into your spine. You forgot me. You swallow. Of course you did. You don't remember dreaming of wolves. You were never a wolf kid. No posters, no howling soundtracks. But somehow you know this creature. It steps forward, sniffs the air, tilts its head. You left me here, in the trees. You glance around, more faces begin to shift. Some blur, some crack, some weep, all turning toward the wolf. The wolf sits down, its tail brushes the moss. It says, "Tell me one truth, or I bite." Well, that escalated quickly. But the wolf is serious. Its ears are back. Not aggressive, just alert. Waiting. So you speak. You don't plan it. You just say the first real thing that forms in your gut. I was scared to be kind to myself. The wolf tilts its head, stares, then blinks. Good enough. It stands, circles you once, brushes your leg with its tail and disappears into the trees. You let out a breath you didn't know you were holding. The faces go still again. Some smile. One sticks out its tongue. You keep walking. Because now you understand. This forest isn't here to scare you. It's here to remind you. Every tree is a version of you that noticed something and held on to it. Every branch is a thought you once had that never found a voice. Every root is an emotion you buried so deep it sprouted bark. And if you can walk through it without lying, you get to leave. You look down at your hand. The seed is still there, but it's glowing now. A faint gold, soft and pulsing. And it's grown heavier, almost ready, not quite. Just a little further. The glow from the seed cradled in your palm begins to pulse in rhythm with your breath. Or maybe it's the other way around. You're not entirely sure who's setting the tempo anymore. You or the forest. As you move forward, the trees begin to thin. Their faces close their eyes as you pass, like a curtain being drawn over a performance you weren't meant to witness twice. The forest isn't dismissing you. It's simply finished showing you what it needed to. And now, as you step out beyond the last tree, you realize something's changed. There's a sound in the air, a drum beat. Slow, deep, measured. You stop. It's not coming from somewhere. It's coming from everywhere. The ground, the sky, your bones. It's not just a drum anymore, it's your heartbeat. But not the one you walked in with. This one is slower, older. It belongs to the part of you that only wakes up when the world is quiet enough to listen. You walk toward the sound and find yourself back at the tent, or at least a version of it. The chair is different now, larger, woven not of felt and hide, but of light. Its frame glows with thread-thin streaks of fire, humming gently like harp strings touched by wind. The doorway hangs open, and inside the shaman is seated once more, drum in hand, motionless, waiting. You hesitate at the entrance, because now you know what this space is. Not a shelter, not a shrine, a mirror. You step inside. The moment you cross the threshold, the air shifts again. Thicker, but not heavy. More like syrup or honey. It slows your breath, your thoughts. The fire is back, but this time it doesn't flicker. It stares. The shaman nods once. Still no words. They begin to drum. Boom, boom, boom. Each beat vibrates differently. The first thud hits your gut. You feel hunger, but not for food. The second lands in your chest, a memory of a love, sharp and unfinished. The third hums in your throat, the feeling of wanting to speak but not knowing how. Then silence. Then your voice. But not from your mouth, from everywhere. It rises around you, low and soft, saying things you never gave yourself permission to say. I want to rest. I want to be forgiven. I want to be real. You're not crying, but your skin feels rinsed like rain has passed through it. And the fire speaks back, not with words, with images. A hand reaching out and being taken. A body aging slowly, gently, without fear. A child laughing in the arms of someone who doesn't mind how much time has passed. You close your eyes, and the drumbeat continues. Boom, boom, boom! You realize the beat isn't just echoing your heart. It is your heart. Not biologically, spiritually. This is the rhythm of who you are when no one else is looking, when the lights are out, when you're just breath and thought and the faint hum of skin against air. Mongol shamans often describe the drum as a horse, a mount that carries them into other worlds. But sometimes, just sometimes, the drum isn't a vehicle, it's a mirror. And tonight, it's both. You're riding the rhythm and seeing yourself reflected in every beat. Then something moves in the shadows, not a threat, a presence. The apprentice is back, older now, maybe just aged by the ritual, maybe always this age but only now letting you see it. They hold something in their hands, a bowl. Inside, ash, charcoal, and a few long dark strands of hair, yours. You don't ask how they got them, they offer the bowl, you take it. The smell is strange, like burned sugar and wet stone. The shaman speaks now, not aloud, inside you. This is what you gave up. You look down at the ash. You understand. The bowl holds what you've shed tonight. A shadow, a version of yourself, a few regrets. You don't need them back, but you also don't want to throw them away. So instead, you tip the bowl into the fire. Let it take them. The flames flare once, blue, then settle. And then the drum stops. Silence, but not the awkward kind. The kind of silence that wraps around you like a familiar blanket. You sit, not on purpose, you just do. And the apprentice sits beside you. So does the shaman. You all face the fire, like you're watching a movie only the spirit world could direct. No one speaks, because there's nothing left to say. The seed in your hand pulses one last time, and then it vanishes, gone, planted somewhere deep in you. You feel it, settling in the soil behind your ribs, waiting for whatever comes next. You look at the shaman. They meet your eyes for the first time. Their gaze is tired, not old, just deeply, cosmically weary. They nod and say, "The spirits are listening." And you understand what that means now. They're not here to judge or punish. They're just listening. Because sometimes the act of being witnessed is what heals us, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. You look around, the fire flickers, the jar hums, the air is warm, and for the first time tonight you feel safe. Not because the danger is gone, but because you've stopped being afraid of what's inside you. You sit still, long after the fire settles back into its slow, pulsing glow. Your breath is steady, your heartbeat is soft. The drum is silent, but the rhythm stays with you, thudding quietly in your bones like a promise that won't let go. The apprentice stands. They approach the fire and draw a pattern in the ash with a curved twig, spiral, dot, spiral again. You don't recognize it, but your stomach clenches like you should. And then your shadow begins to move. You hadn't noticed it return, not since the pit where the blue-lipped woman dissolved it. But now it's here, stretched across the floor, flickering slightly like bad candlelight, and it's agitated. The shadow twists, pulls at the floor, stands, you stare, it stands. Not just a dark smear behind you, this is your shape. Same build, same movements, but there's no mimicry. It's not copying you, it's being itself. The shaman doesn't look surprised, neither does the apprentice. Mongol shamanic belief held that a shadow could detach from the body under stress, grief, or certain rites of passage. Some called it the lower soul, the part burdened with everything too heavy to carry, and once separated it didn't always want to return. Your shadow raises one hand, points at you, then places a palm over where its own heart would be. You understand. It wants to speak, but it has no mouth, so you speak for it, quietly. "I didn't know how to protect you." The shadow nods. You continue. "I kept pretending you weren't there, but you were. I just didn't want to feel the weight." The shadow lowers its arm, and then it steps forward, merges with your feet. slides up gently like fog into bone, and it's back, inside you, not trapped, not angry, just home. You inhale, and for the first time in what feels like years, the air fills all of you. You look at the shaman again. They nod once. You've done the hard part. But of course, this journey isn't just about cleansing. It's about asking. So the shaman gestures. You know what to do. You crawl forward and take your place before the fire. You close your eyes. You ask. Not aloud, not even in words. Just ask the way you asked for things when you were too young to know language, when you wanted safety or love, or someone to explain what the dark was made of. You ask for something without knowing what, and the fire answers. It flares, but inwardly. The flames fold into themselves like a closing flower. Inside the fire, you see a shape form, something small, moving. It's a child, sitting cross-legged, barefoot, covered in soot. It's you, a younger you, and they're drawing something in the dirt. You lean closer, they're drawing a door. You blink, and the vision is gone, but the feeling stays. Behind you, the apprentice begins to hum, a soft, slow tune. Not beautiful, not showy, just honest. The kind of song you'd hum to yourself when you were tired of crying. It wraps around you, soothes the edges of everything, and the fire changes again. Now it shows you memories. Not yours, someone else's. You see an old man standing alone on the step, hair like dry grass, beard like wind. He holds a long staff carved with the shape of a snake and a deer entwined. He chants into the wind, but no one's listening, except the mountain itself. Then, a woman kneeling beside a frozen river. Her hands are bleeding. She presses her palms into the ice until it melts, until it opens, until something beneath it pulls her under, and she doesn't fight it. Then, a boy, barefoot, eyes closed, walking through smoke. He's not afraid. He's singing, and the smoke listens. These aren't dreams. These are remembered lives. Not yours, but somehow also yours. Shamans believed in soul journeys, not just within your lifetime, but across many. Fragments passed down, ghosts that ride your thoughts, talents that come from nowhere, fears you never earned. You're watching echoes of yourself scattered through centuries, and then the fire dims. All that's left is a single coal, glowing like an ember of truth. You reach for it, not to grab, just to feel. It doesn't burn, it warms, and your fingers curl naturally around it. You lift it, and feel your voice return, the real one, not the one you use at parties, not the one you use in texts, the voice that existed before you ever learned to hide. And with it, you say, quietly, I forgive you. The words aren't for the spirits, or the shaman, they're for you, and it echoes, not outward, inward, bouncing off every part of you that has waited too long to hear it. You open your eyes, the coal has cooled, but your hands are still warm. You rise, the apprentice steps aside, and the tent opens behind them, not the entrance you came through, a new one, and it leads not to the step, but to the sky. You step forward, but something in your mind screams, wait, not with panic, more like a final warning bell before takeoff, a deep inner knowing that whatever comes next isn't a return to what you knew, not entirely. The opening ahead glows with an impossible sky. No stars, no sun, no moon, just motion. Swirling clouds of colour, like paint poured into water, cobalt bleeding into gold, indigo melting into soft amber. It hums without sound, breathes without lungs. You look back at the fire. The shaman is still seated, still silent. The apprentice's song has faded into a hum, and even that is now gone. All you hear is your heartbeat and the wind of the sky ahead, whispering, beckoning, daring. You step forward, and as your foot crosses the threshold, gravity forgets what it's doing. There's no fall, no lift, just a soft slide into somewhere else, and suddenly you're floating, not through air, not through water, but through meaning, through layers of thought, sensation, possibility. You see things again, but not in a linear way. They wash over you, overlapping, melting. A moment from childhood, when you turned a cardboard box into a spaceship and truly believed it could fly. A hallway where you walked past someone crying and did nothing, and your stomach tightens again years later. A night you said I'm fine when you weren't and no one questioned it. and part of you thank them for that. These are scraps, scattered across your soul like clothes left behind by someone who left in a hurry. And then you stop, or rather, the slide does. You're standing now on something flat, circular, stone, sky, bone, hard to say. Before you is a mirror, no frame, no stand, just a sheet of reflective surface suspended in midair. You look into it, and it does not reflect you. It reflects someone you almost became. They're smiling, peaceful, wiser. Their eyes hold softness, not because they haven't been hurt, but because they've forgiven the parts of themselves that caused the pain. You reach out, touch the glass. It doesn't ripple, it reaches back. A single fingertip from the other side, your own. The glass softens, melts. You step through, and you're no longer in the sky. You're in a small room, wooden walls, low ceiling, smoke curling from a small fire pit in the centre, animal pelts along the floor. It's a real yurt now, tangible. Cold air curls through the seams. Somewhere, horses shuffle and grunt. You're back, but also you're not, because seated in front of you is a man, old, skin like paper, long grey beard braided with beads. He wears a robe stitched with horse symbols and a thin circlet of iron around his brow. And he's holding the same antler crown that was placed on your head what feels like eons ago. He speaks. His voice is gravel wrapped in velvet. Do you know where you've been? You hesitate, nod slowly. Sort of. He chuckles, a dry, creaky laugh. That's better than most. He gestures for you to sit. You do. He sets the crown between you both. The dreaming tent tests you, but it doesn't test if you're strong, it tests if you're ready. You don't ask for what, because by now you know. To carry truth, to face what you buried, to hold what still hurts. He looks at you, deeply, kindly, then says, "You met your ancestors." You nod again. He continues, "You met yourself." You say, "I didn't know I needed to." He smiles. That's how it always starts. He lifts a bowl, again that fermented mare's milk, and passes it to you. You drink. This time it's not sour, it's warm, comforting, like bread dipped in memory. You hand it back. He places the crown in your lap, and you feel it now, not just as an object, but as a task. You won't keep it, not literally, but you'll carry what it means, responsibility, memory, witnessing. You sit with it a while, and the old man speaks again. Now there is one more voice. You glance up, he points, behind you. You turn, and there, half hidden in shadow, is a child. You, 5 years old, eyes wide, mouth sticky from something sweet. They walk toward you, barefoot on the pelts, and they say, "Can I come home now?" You reach out, take their hand, and you say, "Yes." And suddenly, you are them, and they are you. And the circle closes. The yurt fades again. You're not floating. You're not flying. You're arriving, back in your body, back in the tent. The fire is a normal fire now. The air smells like horsehair and ash. Your socks are back, so is your shirt. You're seated on the same rug where you began. But the crown, it's gone. And you are whole. You don't move for a long moment. Because now, movement feels optional. Your body is yours again, sure, but it's quieter, as if it's listening to you for the first time in years. Not demanding food, sleep, performance, just listening, like an old friend who finally stopped interrupting. The fire crackles beside you, small and mundane now, just wood, smoke, and heat. No hidden grins, no whispered secrets. You glance around. The shaman is still there, seated where they've always been, as if they never moved a single muscle. Their expression hasn't changed either, but their eyes. Now, finally, they rest on you. Not piercing, not distant, just steady. The apprentice stands behind them again, younger now. Or maybe just returned to the version you saw first. Everything is the same, but absolutely nothing is. You glance at the door. You know it's open, even without looking. There's a slight shift in air pressure, a thread of cold sneaking along the floor, curling around your toes. The outside world is waiting. But before you leave, there's a sound, a soft scrape, a thud. You turn your head. There's a box beside you, rough wood, bound in hide, decorated with etched circles, lines, and tiny red stones pressed into the lid. You didn't see it before. You open it. Inside are objects. Some you recognize immediately. A small pendant you lost years ago. A note you wrote but never sent. A folded paper star damp at the edges. Others are unfamiliar. A piece of glass, round and smoky. Pine cone covered in white ash. A dried petal from a flower you've never seen. You run your fingers over them. They hum softly under your touch. You understand, without being told, these are your spiritual keepsakes, objects shaped from memory, emotion, and intention. Shamans believed the soul could carry tokens from its journeys, not physical trinkets, but markers of experience, breadcrumbs for the spirit to follow later. Some of them, they said, would reappear in dreams, or show up as déjà vu, or even manifest in waking life as obsessions, preferences, little quirks that made no sense to anyone else. You close the box. The lid clicks shut. The apprentice steps forward, kneels, and takes it from you. You don't speak. They don't either. You both just know. It's safe now. The shaman finally raises a hand, palm open, no gestures, no spells, no chants, just permission to go, to leave, to return. You nod once, then turn toward the door. The flap is pulled back, revealing the outside, the steppe flat and cold, stars still blazing, in a way that feels performative after everything you've just seen. The air hits your skin, sharp, bracing, very real. You step out, and instantly the night wraps around you like a cold scarf. You blink. The tent is still behind you, but it's quieter now. It no longer pulls at your thoughts like a magnet. It's simply a tent again. You look up. The stars are calmer now. Still strange, still vast, but no longer watching. You begin to walk. There's no path, but your feet know what to do. You make it maybe 10 paces before you hear it. A whisper, not from the wind, from behind you. You turn and see it. At the entrance to the tent, the wolf, the snow-coloured one with your eyes. It sits, tail curled around its paws, watching. Then it stands, walks toward you, and you do the same. You meet halfway. You kneel. It presses its forehead to yours, warm, steady, present, and it says, just once, just inside your head, "We are not separate anymore." Then it fades, not disappears, just fades into your skin, like breath into lungs, like a shadow that finally trusts you to carry it. You rise and continue walking. Mongol shamans never expected their initiates to return unchanged. In fact, if someone came back from a dreaming tent without some shift in how they walked, spoke, were, they considered it a failed journey. You're not the same. You won't be. Even if you forget the visions, even if the names fade, even if the symbols melt back into metaphor, your bones remember. Your spirit carries it now, woven like thread into muscle. And that's enough. You walk for what feels like an hour, or a breath. It's hard to tell. Then, up ahead, you see something. A fire. A normal one. Real logs, real crackling, and someone sitting beside it. They wave you over, you hesitate, but only for a moment. You walk into the light. The figure offers you a cup. Not mare's milk this time. Tea, hot, simple. You sip. It burns your tongue, and it's perfect. You don't ask who they are. You just sit beside them and watch the fire, together, as if this moment has happened before and will happen again and again. You sit by the fire, the cup warm between your palms, the steam curling into the air like soft punctuation marks to a conversation that hasn't started yet. The figure next to you doesn't speak. They don't need to. Just their presence says, yes, you made it. No, it's not over. But yes, you can rest. For a bit. The fire pops gently. A branch splits down the middle with a dry hiss. Sparks spiral upward and vanish before they can reach the stars. You take another sip. It's not just tea anymore, it's a balm. Each swallow is like washing out the corners of your lungs. You hadn't realised how shallow your breathing had been, how much space you'd been rationing inside your own chest. The figure beside you finally speaks. Their voice is neither male nor female, old nor young. It's a voice scraped smooth by centuries, like a river stone held in a calloused palm. The spirits are satisfied, but not all spirits are kind. You glance over. They're staring into the fire, not at you. You nod, because you understand now. There were moments back in that dream tent, not many, but enough, where you felt hunted, watched by something that didn't care whether you healed, something that fed on confusion, silence, avoidance. The figure continues. Some are hungry, others are bored. Some just want a story to live in. You shift slightly. The fire throws orange light across your hands, and for a moment you swear the shadows on your skin move independently, just a flicker, but enough. You called them, even without knowing. You raise your eyebrows. The figure finally turns to face you, and you almost laugh, because their face is yours, not just similar, exactly yours, except calmer. Not peaceful, necessarily, just practiced. Like someone who's been through the same storm enough times to keep an umbrella in their soul. You're not alarmed. You're curious. They continue. We all do it. Call things we're not ready for. Let in guests before we've swept the corners. Invite voices that echo louder than our own. You nod, because yes, that tracks. You think about all the thoughts that crept in when you were tired, all the doubts that showed up dressed as jokes, all the comparisons you scrolled through in the dark. But the thing is, your other self says, they listen too, not just to the broken parts, to the brave ones. You blink. That you hadn't considered. That maybe, just maybe, the spirits weren't only feeding on fear. Maybe some were leaning closer just to hear your courage, those small, quiet, unsexy acts of trying again when it would have been easier not to. The figure, you, leans forward and stirs the fire with a stick. Sparks rise, and with them, images. Faint, wispy, but vivid enough to make your chest tighten. A night you almost told the truth, then backed away. A friend you pushed aside, not out of anger but exhaustion. Yamaftis, a version of you that said, I'm fine, too often to remember the last time it was true. These aren't accusations, they're records. You don't look away, because part of you wants to witness them even now, maybe especially now. And then comes the last image. A hand, yours, holding the blue-lipped seed, still glowing, still whole. You haven't planted it yet, the figure says. You shake your head. You're not sure where or how or even what it will grow. They smile. That's not your job. Just find the soil. You pause. Where is it? They laugh. Not mockingly, kindly. Everywhere. They lean back. Let the fire die a little, and as it dims, the edges of their form begin to blur, like they're folding back into the night. You look down at your hand. The seed is still there, glowing softly. No pulse this time, just warmth, like a stone that's been in sunlight all day. You stand, because somehow, instinctively, you know. This is your last night in the tent, not the last ever, but the last this kind, this chapter, this layer, this version of the dream. It's closing, not because you failed, but because you didn't. You glance at the fire one last time. The figure's gone. Only the embers remain like fireflies curled up for sleep. You turn, and now you're not in the steppe. You're in a place beyond places. Everything is shifting, gently, slowly. You walk across a field made of memory, a hill made of breath, a sky that leans closer to hear your thoughts. And then, you see it. Another fire, much smaller. A candle, maybe, flickering faintly at the base of a tree. You approach. And without thinking, you kneel. You press the seed into the dirt. The moment it touches the soil, the earth shivers. A crack opens, small and silent. And from it, not a plant, not a vine, but light, warm, steady, steaming upward, not blinding, just enough to remind you. Something was left here, and something will return. You stand, and as you walk away, you feel lighter. Not because you left something behind, but because you brought something through. As you walk, you notice the rhythm again, that drum beat. It's fainter now, softer than breath against skin, like the heartbeat of a sleeping animal curled in your lap. But it's there. Always there. A reminder, a rhythm, a promise. The path beneath your feet is shifting with each step. Sometimes it's grass, sometimes it's ash. Once, for a moment, it feels like the surface of a lake, cool, uncertain, and almost eager to pull you through. But you keep going. You feel stronger now, Not like you could lift a horse, more like you could finally stop pretending you're not tired, and that's a strength most people never get credit for. Ahead of you, the terrain changes once more. The ground smooths, levels out, and the colours around you settle into a soft pearlescent grey. Shapes begin to emerge, not trees, not buildings. Figures, sitting, standing, waiting. You squint. They're human, or human adjacent. Not spirits, not memories. These are listeners. Dozens of them. Hundreds. They surround you now, at a distance that feels respectful, but close enough that you know. They're here for you. And they're not faceless. Every one of them wears a different expression. Some smile wide and strange, some frown, confused. Some tilt their heads with the unmistakable look of concern your mother used to give you when you said, "I'm fine," but weren't. One of them, near the front, is you again, but exhausted. Dark circles under the eyes, shoulders hunched, mouth trying to smile and failing. You nod to that version of yourself, and they nod back. Respect. The crowd parts. A single chair sits in the centre, worn wood, antler-carved arms, red thread wrapped around one leg. The shaman's seat. But there's no shaman in it, just you, and it's waiting. You pause, then sit, not like a throne, more like a witness stand. The moment you touch the seat, the figures raise their heads, and the air hums. You expect them to chant or ask, or judge. They do none of that. They listen, and you speak. You don't know what you're saying at first. The words tumble out like pebbles from your mouth, small and ungraceful. I'm sorry. I didn't know better. I still don't. I keep forgetting to breathe. I'm scared of being known. I love people, and it's exhausting. I want rest. I want permission. You don't cry. You just empty, and they listen. Not one interrupts. They are the spirits, the ones the shaman said were listening. They are not gods. They are not ghosts. They are echoes, carved into time by truth and repetition and longing. And in this space, your honesty feeds them, not as food, as recognition. That's all they ever wanted. That's all any spirit ever wants, to be remembered, witnessed, spoken to without fear. They begin to fade, slowly, not gone, just satisfied. Some nod, some smile, one waves. Then they vanish like steam drawn back into the earth. You're alone again, still in the chair, still in the circle. The air is warm now, charged, and then a sound, footsteps, soft, behind you. You turn. It's the shaman. Not distant, not unreadable, just present. They nod at you. You spoke. You nod back. I did. They crouch beside you, their bones creaking like dry leather. Do you understand what happens now? You hesitate. Shake your head. They grin. Good. And they hand you something, a bundle wrapped in red cloth tied with a strip of sinew. Heavy. You don't open it. You just hold it. Because you know what it is. It's the truth. Not the truth. Not universal, divine, all-knowing, just your truth. The part you came here to find. And now it's yours to carry. No one else can unpack it for you. But it's yours, and you're strong enough now. The shaman stands, taps your forehead with 2 fingers. The antler crown appears again, not on your head, but at your side, folded, quiet, done. Sing, they say. You blink. Now, they nod. If you do not, the silence will. So you hum. Not a song, just a thread of sound. Something that rises from the centre of your chest and floats outward like warm breath on glass. It's not beautiful. It's not poetic. It's real. And the shaman smiles. The dream is ending. You feel it. The edges of this world begin to fray. Fade. You're being pulled back. Not ripped, just guided. The kind of nudge a mother gives when you've lingered at the dinner table too long. You turn one last time. The chair is empty. The figures are gone. The fire is embers. And the sky is yours again. And it's listening. And then, fire. Real fire. You wake to a column of it roaring up from the centre of the tent. You don't move, because frankly, you're not sure if you can, or if this is waking up at all. The flames don't burn you. They rise in a tight, elegant funnel, spinning slowly, blue at the base, gold at the tip. They make no sound, no heat, just presence, like someone breathing too close to your skin but never touching. You glance toward the shaman seated across the space. They don't flinch, they don't even blink. This is normal. For them. For you. It's not just fire, it's a statement. One final punctuation mark at the end of a sentence you didn't realize you were writing with your whole body. And then the column vanishes. Not slowly, not with smoke. Just snap. Gone. Like it was never there. The tent dims, the air stills, and you're left with the memory of heat that never touched you. The apprentice walks quietly across the rugs and opens the flap of the chair. Pale dawn pours in, cool and misty, like light passed through thin milk. It spills over your feet, soft as a whisper. But no one says anything, no ceremony, no farewell. No, just that eerie, natural quiet that feels more final than a goodbye. You shift your legs, they ache, your back pops, your mouth is dry, your body is real again, and it is tired. You sit upright, try to speak. Nothing comes out at first. Your voice is dust and absence. You cough once. Try again. Did it work? No one answers, but they smile. The kind of smile that doesn't reassure you, but tells you the question was the wrong one anyway. Because this wasn't a test. It wasn't something you could pass or fail. It was a shift, an agreement, a realignment between you and the things that live underneath your skin, behind your ribs, in the bend of your breath. You rise slowly. The rugs beneath your feet feel solid now. No breathing, no illusions, just wool, earth, and the weight of everything you've carried in and, hopefully, left behind. You step outside, and the world has the nerve to still be ordinary. The grass is wet. A horse neighs somewhere nearby. Birds are arguing in a language you recognize from your dreams. You stretch your arms overhead. Your shoulders crack. And you notice something else. Your watch has gone. The cheap plastic Casio, poof, vanished, replaced by a thin strip of leather tied loosely around your wrist. You don't remember putting it on. But it doesn't feel unfamiliar. You breathe in, and the air smells like morning and milk and ash. Behind you, the flap rustles. The shaman steps out. They hand you something. It's small, a rock, smooth, black, warm. You open your palm and look closer. There's a tiny carving on it, just a dot surrounded by a spiral. The same symbol the apprentice etched into the ash. What is it, you ask? The shaman shrugs. A reminder. You roll it between your fingers. It hums faintly like a memory you're about to have again. Of what? You press. They smile and say that it was real. You close your hand around it. The weight is comforting. Then the shaman reaches into their robe and pulls out the antler crown. They hand it to you, not to keep, just to hold. You lift it gently, feel the cool curve of bone and the rough twine binding it. It doesn't hum, it doesn't glow, it just is. Real, solid, unmagical in the most magical way. You hand it back, they nod. You'll remember it when you need to, and that's the truest sentence you've heard in days. Because you will forget. Of course you will. That's the deal with waking up. The dream fades, the lesson lingers, but the details go soft at the edges, like parchment left out in the rain. The shaman and apprentice begin to pack up the tent. You realize it will be gone soon. No trace, no tracks, no proof, and for once that doesn't bother you. You start to walk. There's no need to ask if you're allowed. There's no need to say goodbye. You just go. And the moment your foot touches the dirt beyond the circle of stones, something inside you settles. Not peace, not joy, just a quiet alignment. Like your bones are finally sitting right in your body. You glance up at the sky. It's still just morning, pale, early, uninterested in your enlightenment, and you grin. Because the spirits may still be listening, but now you're ready to speak. Your feet press into the earth like you're meeting it for the first time. It's not new. You've walked on this kind of grass before, slipped in this kind of mud, smelled the way dew clings to goat hair and soil just after dawn. But now you feel it differently. Like you're not just walking on the ground, you're walking with it. You adjust your shoulders, feel your spine stretch. Something in your ribs clicks into place. You're lighter, but not because anything was removed. because you stopped carrying what wasn't yours. You don't look back at the tent. You know it's gone. Even if you turn, all you'll see is step. Flat. Endless. Familiar. But now it looks like something sacred. A breathing canvas. Every little hill and blade of grass whispers, "You made it." You begin to notice small things again. Birdsong. Wind tugging the corner of your sleeve. The sun rising behind a layer of thin cloud like a coin pushed through milk. It's all so gently ordinary. And it's glorious. You keep walking. Then you feel it. A tug. Not external. Not spiritual. Personal. Inside your chest. You reach into your shirt pocket, even though you're sure it was empty, and you pull out a wallet. Yours. Real. Scuffed. Familiar. You hadn't noticed it missing, but now it feels strange in your hand. You open it. Everything's there. ID. A couple crumpled receipts. A faded photo. Two perfectly folded $1 bills you were saving for something. But then you notice something odd. The ID. Your name is mostly right. But the photo is not quite you. Same face, same hair, but the eyes? They're older, wiser. Or maybe just awake. You blink. The wallet is normal again. No trick. No transformation. Just a little reminder that the you carry around isn't always the one that walks through the world. You tuck it away. Then, your fingers graze your wrist. That leather band. Still there. You inspect it more closely now. It's not just leather. It's braided. 3 strands. One dark, one pale, one red. You don't know where they came from, but you know what they mean. The dark strand is everything you let go of. The pale one is what you reclaimed. And the red? That's what changed. You smile, and you keep walking. You come across a stream. It's small, shallow, full of stones that look like the kind kids paint and hide in parks. You crouch, splash some water on your face. It's cold enough to jolt your thoughts into order. As you rise, you catch your reflection in the surface. It's you. But again, not quite. There's a calm in your jawline now, a softness behind the eyes that wasn't there before, and then something shifts behind your reflection. A shimmer, like heat on asphalt. Then gone. You don't panic. You nod. Because you recognize the feeling. The spirits are still around, not looming, just near, observing, maybe even smiling. And that's fine. You start walking again. Further now. The land rolls gently, golden with early sun. You crest a hill and spot a figure below, tending a fire near a small wagon. You wave, they wave back. They don't recognize you. Why would they? You've changed. You reach the wagon and greet them. They offer you tea. You say yes. They ask where you've come from. You pause, then answer, from a tent. They nod. Don't ask more. Don't need to, because they've been there too. Not the same tent, not the same fire, but somewhere equally strange, equally sacred, equally transforming. Maybe not everyone has visited a shaman's dreaming tent, but almost everyone has stood at the edge of something vast and terrifying and had to step into it anyway. You sip the tea. It's hot and earthy, with a pinch of something sweet. The stranger hums as they stir the fire. You sit together for a while. No words needed. Eventually they point down the trail. If you keep walking, you'll hit the road. Where does it go? They shrug. Depends who you are now. You finish the tea, hand the cup back, say thank you, and continue walking. Because that's what this moment is, a continuation. You're not returning to the world as it was. You're arriving into the world as you are, and that is very different. You walk until the trail becomes packed dirt, then gravel, then pavement. You see signs, wires, a parked motorcycle, and you smile. Because now you can carry all of it. The dream, the fire, the wolf, the shadow, the child, the crown. Not like weights, but like pages in a story you're finally ready to tell. You step back into the everyday, but you're not everyday anymore. And that's how you know you survived the night. The road curves gently ahead, sloping toward a horizon that looks less like an end and more like an invitation. You walk quietly, rhythmically, your body no longer feeling like a machine of parts, but a single moving breath. You notice the tiniest things again, an ant carrying something 3 times its size, the way a pebble casts a long, ridiculous shadow in the early sun. the call of a bird that sounds suspiciously like laughter. You have returned. But returned is a slippery word, isn't it? Because nothing really goes back to where it was. Not after something like that. You come across a signpost, just wood, no writing. But somehow, you know where each path leads. Left is comfort, right is challenge. Straight ahead? That one doesn't say. It's just open, like a page with no title. You go straight. Of course you do, because the spirits are still listening, and now you are too. The road leads to a village. It's familiar. Maybe the one you left before the ritual, maybe one you only dreamed of. Either way, people are stirring, carrying baskets, tending fires, feeding animals that demand breakfast like it's a moral right. Someone waves. You wave back. They don't recognize you, but they smile anyway. You step into a small shop. Wood floors, herbs hanging from the rafters, that universal smell of dust, oil, and forgotten corners. The shopkeeper greets you with a nod. You nod back. You pick up a piece of cloth, deep blue, soft to the touch. You don't need it. You buy it anyway. A gift, maybe, or a keepsake. You notice something behind the counter. A drum, not the shaman's, but close. You ask where they got it. Oh, that old thing. Found it in the hills years ago. You ask if it works. They tap it gently. The sound is low. Not loud, but deep. You feel it more than hear it. You smile. It works. You leave the shop, cloth folded under your arm. Continue through the village. No one stops you. But a few people glance twice. Something about you. The way you move. The way your eyes scan the sky like it might offer you advice. You find a bench near the edge of town and sit. Just to breathe. Just to be. And then you realize something. You're humming. A tune you didn't know you knew. A song from the tent. Maybe. Or maybe one you carried before you were born and only just now remembered. Either way, it suits you. You close your eyes, and in the darkness behind your eyelids something stirs. Not a vision, not a memory, a message. 4 words. You brought it back. You don't need to ask what it is. It's the seed, the voice, the forgiveness, the truth. You can't plant it here, but you can carry it until the soil is right, and when the time comes, you'll know. The village bell rings once, calling the day into motion. You stand, shoulder your cloth, check your wrist. The leather braid is still there. You trace the red strand with your thumb, it tingles, still alive, still listening. You walk again, but slower now. Not because you're tired, because you're present. And the world is too. You come across a child sitting cross-legged on the ground, talking to a beetle like it's a council member. They look up at you with wide eyes. Are you magic? You grin, shake your head. No, just visited. They squint. Visited where? You wink. A place where the sky breathes and the shadows talk too much. They nod seriously like they get it. And maybe they do. You keep walking, out of the village, through the fields, up a narrow path where the air grows lighter, and there, at the top of a small hill, you stop, because it's the perfect place. You kneel, reach into your pocket. The rock is still there, warm. You place it gently on the ground, next to a small growing plant. Not one you planted, but one that feels familiar. The leaves shimmer slightly, just enough to make you question it. And then you feel it. Something curl inside your chest and settle. Not a burden, not a mission, just a knowing. You did not survive the night in the dreaming tent to prove anything. You survived it to change, and to keep changing, to listen, to witness, to carry things that don't make sense until they do. The wind brushes your face. It smells like pine, like fire, like home. You look at the sky and say aloud, I remember. And from somewhere, maybe nowhere, the sky replies, good. You stay on that hill longer than you meant to, not because you're stuck, just because there's no rush. The sun rises slow and gentle, casting shadows that seem less like shapes and more like stories unfolding. You lie back in the grass, hands behind your head, and watch a hawk circle far above. It dips once, twice, then disappears into a cloud like a magician pulling off the simplest trick in the world. And for once, you don't need to explain it. You just let it be. After a while, you sit up. It's time to move again. But something's different. Not in the scenery. In you. You realize you're not looking for anything anymore. You're not scanning for signs or waiting for symbols to decode your next move. You're just ready. So you walk down the hill, past the plant you didn't plant, past the stone you left behind. Each step lands heavier now, but not with burden, with intention. You reach the bottom of the hill and spot a path that wasn't there before. It's narrow, dusty, slightly overgrown. Perfect. You follow it, and find something that stops you in your tracks. A figure, seated beneath a tree. Familiar, and yet not. You approach slowly. They look up, and, you know this already, it's you. Again. But this version is something else entirely. Older, maybe, or younger. Hard to say. But they're centered, still. Like they've already been through the fire and didn't need to tell anyone about it afterward. You sit beside them. They pass you a small bundle, cloth-wrapped, warm. You open it. Inside, a mirror, not magical, just simple glass. You look into it. You expect another version of yourself, but no, it's just you, now, alive, present, visible, and for once, you don't flinch. You hold the mirror a little longer, then set it down beside you in the grass. The other you says, "You don't need us anymore." You nod. You knew that. But it still feels like a small goodbye. They stand, stretch. And as they turn to walk away, they pause. Plant the seed often. Where? They grin. Anywhere someone's forgotten how to listen. And they vanish into the trees. You smile. You're getting used to this. A breeze picks up. Cool, playful. It carries the scent of birch, pine, and a little smoke. You close your eyes and breathe deep. You know it's time. You stand again. This time, not as a seeker, as a carrier. You walk until the path becomes a road. Until the road meets another road. Until you reach a place where people move fast, talk loud, and forget to look at the sky. You don't judge them. You just listen. You catch fragments of conversation. Snippets of pain. Someone says, "I'm fine," and you hear the crack in their voice. Someone laughs too quickly. Someone else walks alone, their hands clenched like they're holding in a scream. You pass them, and something in you glows. Soft, not flashy, just enough to notice, like a candle behind the eyes. You feel your pocket, the seed is back, not glowing, not pulsing, just waiting. You know what to do, not everything, just the next thing. You walk into a cafe, order something warm, take a seat by the window, and you watch. Not because you're looking for spirits, because you know they're already here. Listening, watching, waiting for someone to remember. You sip slowly. A child outside catches your eye. They wave. You wave back. And for a flicker of a moment, just one, you see a crown of antlers above their head. Not literal, just light. A suggestion. A memory folded into possibility. They grin, then run off. The moment passes, but you tuck it away. Later, as you leave the cafe, you pass a tree near the sidewalk. Not much. Small, young, overlooked. You crouch, brush aside some leaves, dig with your fingers. The soil is soft. You place the seed inside, cover it, stand, and walk on. You don't turn back, you don't need to, because you know what grows there will outlive memory. And maybe one night someone else will sit beneath that tree and dream too, and they'll survive it, just like you did. You've been walking for hours now, or maybe minutes. Time is funny like that, especially after a night like yours. The city, or the village, or whatever this place has become, pulses gently around you. People bustle and pass, unaware that someone among them has returned from a tent stitched with the breath of ancestors and the shadow of reindeer dreams. You watch them with new eyes, not judging, just noticing. Their burdens, their beauty, the quiet ache between their shoulders when they think no one is looking. You used to miss all this, but now you see it, and you feel something stirring in your chest, not sadness, not joy, just readiness, to be part of it again, to return without forgetting, to carry what you now know, and the knowing isn't heavy, it's just clear, like a window cleaned after too many years of grime. You sit on a bench in a park you've never noticed before. Trees shift above you, their leaves gossiping in a language only the wind remembers. You reach into your pocket, pull out the rock. Yes, it's still there, warm, familiar. The symbol still etched into its surface. You close your hand around it, and for the first time since returning you whisper, "Thank you." Not to the spirits, not to the shaman, to yourself, for staying, for asking, for walking through a door that most people run from, for making it to morning, and now you rest, you lean back, let your shoulders drop, and as your eyelids begin to drift, you feel something around you shift. The air grows quieter, the wind softens, your breath slows, and from somewhere inside you the fire hums, not the literal one, the inner one, the small steady flame that was relit in the dreaming tent, the one that will stay, even when you forget, even when you rush again, or fall into old patterns or get lost in the noise, it will stay. And when the time comes again, you'll know, you'll find the tent, or it will find you. Because once you've survived the spirits listening, they never really stop. They walk beside you, silently, always. And in the dark moments, those late-night whispers, those half-remembered dreams, those sudden heart thuds without explanation, you'll remember you've already been through the fire, and you're still here. The fire is gone now. The spirits have gone quiet. And the sky is just sky again. There's no more chanting, no more riddles, no more figures with your face asking hard questions and waiting patiently for honest answers. There's only the gentle rhythm of your breath and the cool stillness of the room around you. You're back where you began, though something inside you knows that's not quite true. You're not who you were, and that's okay. Let that thought settle in your chest like the coals of the dreaming fire, warm, quiet, glowing. Let your shoulders soften, let your jaw unclench, uncurl your fingers. There's nothing left to carry tonight. You've gone farther than most ever dare to go, and you've come back with something rare. A piece of yourself you thought was lost. It's with you now. No crown, no fire, no shaman watching from the smoke. Just you, breathing, being, letting it all land softly in your bones. Let the night carry you. Let the dreams come. And if the wolf returns, or the tree speaks your name, or a drumbeat calls you deeper, don't be afraid. They know you now, and they're glad you came. Close your eyes, rest your hands, and know this. The spirits are still listening, but now, so are you. Good night, 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 you. Good night,